Hello everybody, I am Nicole Lee. I am going to give you a presentation on college student mental health, giving awareness about mental health for college students. And this presentation is geared toward the Office of Student Engagement. So the Office of Student Engagement's mission statement is to provide a comprehensive program for activities and services that enhance the student's experience and allows learning to continue beyond the classroom. We support student organizations, encourage effective citizenship, and develop student leaders and create community. So I did an interview a couple semesters ago with Ms. Tammy Nobles, who was working in the Office of Student Engagement. And she said that there were a few challenges that the office had when it comes to mental health. And some of those challenges included being able to identify signs of mental health, including depression, eating disorders, substance abuse, and suicide. And not just for the students, but for the staff to be able to identify these signs. Trying to help people who don't realize that they need it. There are a lot of college students who have no idea that they have a mental health disorder. Some of them have no idea that what mental health means, to be able to realize that they need help at all. And then there's the mental health stigma that comes from peers or cultural beliefs, or even the non-belief or understanding of mental health illness. Some people just don't believe that mental health is real. Some people have within their culture that we don't talk about mental health. You know, we don't deal with those things. Another challenge is that students don't want to be stigmatized or labeled, so they don't want to seek help, even if they need help, when they need help. So we'll talk about those stigmas a little later. Let's see what college student mental health is. Mental health is defined as a person's condition with regard to their physical and emotional well-being. Our emotional, social, and physical, social, and psychological well-being are all included and affected by the way that we act, by the way that we think, and the way we feel, based on how well we are able to handle certain things in life. Everything is affected. Our mind, our bodies, our spirits, everything. Mental illness stigma is more prevalent in college students than it is in the general public. So let's talk about stigma. As it pertains to college student mental health, there are two types of stigma that students deal with. The first one is self-stigma. Self-stigma is an internalized stigma that eats away at our self-esteem and self-efficacy. It's like a voice inside our head that tells us that we're not good enough, that we're not going to make it, we won't finish school, things like that. This leads to guilt and shame, those feelings that bog us down and things like that. So when experiencing self-stigma, we sometimes adopt the attitude of, why try? I'm already going down the wrong road. Why try? Throw my hands up. The second type of stigma that college students deal with is public or social stigma. This is when the reactions of the general public toward others based on stigmatizing attitudes and beliefs affect us. This is detrimental to a person with mental illness, because when someone is constantly saying, oh, you're crazy and things like that, it's going to affect you. Here are some statistics about mental health. According to NAMI, there are 5 major mental health concerns in college students. We have addiction, so substance abuse affect the mental health of college students. Suicidal thoughts or behaviors. Depression, it's a really big one. Eating disorders. And anxiety. And this isn't something that always comes with schoolwork. That's a part of it. Some of these issues come with the students before they come to college. 1 in 4 students have a diagnosable illness. Mental illness, like depression, things like that can be diagnosed. 40% do not seek help. 80% feel overwhelmed with responsibilities. 50% of college students become so anxious that they begin to struggle in school, and 86% of students with a mental illness withdraw from college before even completing their degree. Some of these students come to college to get a degree or to get away from home, and then they become overwhelmed because of their mental illness that they may not even be aware of. So let's talk about some of those. Depression. Depression is a common but serious mood disorder. Severe symptoms that affect how you feel, think, and handle daily activities. And these are symptoms of depression. To be diagnosed with depression, the symptoms must be present for at least 2 weeks. Some of those symptoms include hopelessness or sadness, loss of interest in hobbies, insomnia, they can't sleep, low appetite, they can't eat, restlessness, irritability, and sometimes this irritability is not provoked, and thoughts of death or suicide attempts. So when we see these things in a student that we think might be depressed, these are some of the things that we should do. Treat the person with respect and dignity. It does no good to treat them any different than that because they're already depressed. They already have all this pressure on them. Do not blame the person for their illness. It's not their fault. Have realistic expectations of the person. Don't assume that they can just get over it, Offer consistent emotional support and understanding. They need to know that you care, that you understand what they're going through, and that you're really there for them. Encourage the person to talk to you. Sometimes you have to pull them to the side and let them know that you're someone that they can trust. Be a good listener and give the person hope for recovery. Remember, talking about depression makes things better, not worse. Eating disorders. An eating disorder is the state in which an individual feels a convincing need to purge or pig out and then vomit. One thing to remember is that eating disorders are not always about food or issues with food. It has nothing to do with that all the time. Sometimes it's a body image thing, or it's something in your brain that tells you something's not right. Or a person's attitude toward food and how it will change the way that they look. It's not always about that. Food is not always the key. Eating disorders include binge eating, so just eating a bunch of food at one time. Anorexia nervosa, not eating and losing a bunch of weight. Bulimia, that involves eating a bunch of food and just vomiting, throwing it up all the time. And then pica. So when we see someone with an eating disorder, someone we think might have an eating disorder, this is how you approach. Know how to approach someone who is suspected of having an eating disorder. Have a plan of what to say, what to do to with the individual, preferably in a private meeting. You don't want to do this in public and embarrass them. You want to make them comfortable so that you don't provoke the individual or make them feel like they need to defend themselves. Do not criticize them. saying something like, "You're not fat," can provoke them to feel like they need to defend themselves. That feels like criticism. Be supportive. Understand that it's their choice to make the change to become healthy, and some may not be ready. Reactions may vary, but try to remain calm and make sure to allow them to say how they feel about the situation. There's no quick fix or simple solution to this disorder, but if someone is suffering from an eating disorder, then they need to seek help because it takes a toll on the body. Substance abuse. Drugs and alcohol are some of the vices students use to cope with stress. We've seen it on many college campuses. Some of the drugs include cannabis, which is marijuana, ecstasy, amphetamines, cocaine, and heroin. Drug addiction and drug abuse is a chronic or habitual use of any chemical substance that alters states of body or mind for other than medical purposes. And you'll see like physical dependence or withdrawal from this. So if you suspect a student is addicted to a drug or have substance abuse problems, this is how you would approach them. People who use drugs and alcohol are at risk for many problems such as social, cognitive functioning, relationship, mental health, physical health, withdrawal when trying to stop using, and other difficulties. So you approach them with ease. You don't just say, "You're doing drugs, we need to talk about it." People don't want to be told that they have a problem because a lot of people don't feel like they have a problem. Some people feel like smoking weed or drinking occasionally is normal. Take some time to think about why this person is using. It may not always be that they're just having fun. There's a reason why they're using drugs. Or they're trying to mask pain and things like that. You have to think about those things. Now that when you begin to talk to them about their problem, that they may not respond well. Sometimes you talk to them about their drug use or suspected drug use, they get mad, they get defensive. Remain calm, use I statements so that the person does not feel attacked. Never judge a person based on what they're doing, never criticize them or label them as an addict, because these tactics are ineffective. You can always encourage change, but in the end, they have to make the change. Suicide, another problem in college students. Suicidal thoughts or ideations and behaviors may occur when students feel like they have no other choice. When they feel like they have no other choice when dealing with stress or whatever mental health issues they have. So sometimes they have the thoughts, "I'm just going to end it. Maybe I should just end it." Suicide is defined as the act of intentionally killing oneself. A person may be feeling so much pain inside they want to just die so that they can stop the pain, because it's the only way that they feel that it'll stop. There are some warning signs to look for, because sometimes you may think someone is suicidal, but they may not be. But here are some warning signs if you see this in students. Threatening to kill or hurt themselves. And when they're doing that, you have to ask questions like, do you have a plan? Do you have means? Things like that. Looking for ways to kill themselves. Seeking access to pills, weapons, or other means. Talking or writing about death, dying, or suicide. Hopelessness. Rage, anger, seeking revenge. Acting recklessly and engaging in risky activities seemingly without thinking. Like driving fast for no reason or other risky behavior. Feeling trapped, like there's no way out. Increasing alcohol and drug use. Withdrawing from friends, family, or society. So they want to cut themselves off from other people. If you see anxiety, agitation, they're unable to sleep or sleeping all the time, that's a sign. Dramatic changes in mood, and the feeling that there's no reason for living. They have no purpose or no sense of purpose in life. So if you feel like you've seen those signs in students, this is how you would approach them. Be aware of your own biases and feelings about suicide. It doesn't matter that you think suicide is wrong. That's not how you come to a student. Act quickly. Let the individual know that they are not alone, that there are people who are concerned about them and want to help them. Be supportive and willing to patiently listen to whatever they have to say. Never downplay their feelings or try to make them feel guilty. Don't tell them, oh, why would you want to kill yourself? You have so much to live for. You have parents, you have siblings, friends that love you. You don't want them leaving, you don't want to leave them crying and down and depressed because you killed yourself. Never tell them that they are wrong for wanting to commit suicide, whether this is something you believe or not. Never ever tell the person that you will keep their secret for them. That's the wrong thing. But you should reiterate how much you care and therefore cannot keep this secret. If you need to seek outside help to save this person's life, then you should do just that, especially if it's a minor. And I know this is college, but if it's a minor, you want to tell them, I want to talk to your parents. Let's talk to your parents about this situation. Or someone, a guardian or something. Always keep in mind that there will be someone who denies that they are suicidal, but it is clear to you that they are. So you have to keep at it. You may not be able to save everyone from committing suicide, but be sure not to take it personal. And take some time for yourself too. You don't want to take these problems on yourself, taking those issues home because you're trying to help someone else. Here are some hotlines that you can call. This National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is actually 24 hours, 7 days a week. You can call it at any time. Or the national hotline that you can text and talk to people. It's confidential. They won't, tell your business or anything like that, but they will help you. Any questions?
What is Pika?
Yeah.
I didn't want to, you were so on the flow. I don't think, I might have missed it, but I didn't hear you really address what that was.
Well, it's part of eating disorders. Just a second. It's like eating something that you shouldn't be eating. You know how like pregnant women eat, sometimes some pregnant women will eat cornstarch, stuff like that. So you'll eat paint chips or something like that because you're so stressed out.
Or like eating tomatoes and you know you're allergic to them.
Not exactly.
So doing something that's kind of destructive?
Eating toilet paper, eating dirt, eating stuff like that.
Like that one show.
Mm-hmm.
My Strange Addiction, like stuff
Yes,
off of that
just
show.
like that show. Just like that show.
Oh, I saw a lady who ate glass one day. And she didn't realize that it was messing her. Well, of course she realized.
And that's
she
an eating
had,
disorder.
She had an addiction to eating glass.
Mm-hmm.
And then the doctors were like, her insides was all tore up. And the doctors were like, why don't you stop eating glass? She was like, I can't.
And let me just go back. It's not always something that you're not supposed to eat. Like people who eat ice all the time. That's part of it. Instead of eating food, you're going to eat ice. Instead of eating food, you're going to eat clay. Things like that.
And that's really part of stress-related things that they're going through. whatever they can get their hand on. And they even do this sometimes in kids, they'll pick up stuff, you know, always want to eat stuff off of the floor,
Yes.
you know. Wherever there's food, they're picking it up.
Mhm.
Whatever they see, they don't care if it's a fuzz or whatever it is, they're gonna pick it up and put it in their mouth. Mhm.
What was your topic?
College student mental health for student engagement, the Office of Student Engagement. Any more questions? All right.
Good job.
Make sure it was like